This is the Getting Divorced Without Losing Your Mind podcast, where divorce coach Corey Shapiro helps you get creative and not reactive in your divorce. Tune in now to get the support you need to make it through this difficult time. Here's your divorce coach, Corey Shapiro.
Welcome to the Getting Divorced Without Losing Your Mind podcast. I'm Corey Shapiro. I'm here to guide you through your divorce as a friend. Just a reminder, the podcast is about adopting a proactive rather than reactive approach to your divorce. Today's topic is talking about different types of attorneys. We're talking about defenders or advocates really pushing your position, or counselors who may make you second guess your position. At best, a counselor could be a trusted advisor. Many attorneys are both. We're going to discuss that today. But first, we're going to start off with our quote. It's from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Quote goes like this: "When it is dark enough, you can see the stars." What a wonderful, efficient statement. Well before AI helping us, think better, write better, Mr. Emerson was way ahead of the curve. And I think what he's saying is, in our darkest moments, when we're pushed, maybe there's a silver lining. Maybe that's when we can really find out what's so important to us. And let's go to what's important to our question this week. If you want to submit a question, just go to question.gettingdivorced.org, and we hope to answer your question on this podcast. This week's question is from Holly. It goes like this: "I've been having discussions with several divorce attorneys, and there are two that really stand out to me. However, one of them seems to challenge my desires, which leaves me feeling puzzled. I was under the impression that a lawyer should simply follow my wishes, and I'm not comfortable with being questioned. What's your perspective on this?" Well, first of all, thank you so much for asking this question, for submitting your question, for being vulnerable, Holly, because it's really important to think about what attorneys really do. And you see this sometimes. I don't know if you've been to therapy or not, but sometimes we want people to just yes us. We just, talk, emote, they yes us. And other times we have people we talk to or therapists who challenge us, who help us grow. And likewise, in the attorney world, we're going to call people who just do what we want advocates, defenders. They're just going to push forward our plan. And sometimes that is what we need. If the plan is so important to us, if the plan is based in reality and there's a good chance of getting what we need, most people don't have an unlimited budget. So we don't want to fight for something we might only have a 1% chance of getting. But if there's a good chance of getting it and it's so important to you, that's when your attorney does have to be an advocate or defend your position. On the other hand, there's so many little things that go on in a divorce. And in that situation, maybe not the most important thing, but maybe all these other issues. And you want to just talk to someone to make sure your position on these issues are based in reality and meet your long-term needs, not just your short-term wishes, not just your short-term desires. And that's what a counselor does. And again, at best, a counselor becomes a trusted advisor when they can really understand you, the way you think, your needs. And then you really can relax. But in the beginning, if a attorney is challenging you, especially maybe at a consultation stage, you don't know if you trust this attorney or not. But I would say reach out to the attorney that speaks to you. And if the position is so important to you, you want an advocate, the counselor can be an advocate too. But generally, the counselor probably is not going to advocate a position that they think is risky, that there's a low chance of probability. So I hope that helps you see this framework and to think about this a little bit more clearly, let's go to the divorce news, Holly. And there's a great example. I mean, couldn't be better example. It's from Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner's, their messy divorce. You're seeing it out on the papers. It's all over the place. When I say papers, I actually mean Google, but that's still how I think about things, like roll down the window. I haven't rolled down the window, I don't even know, in decades, but that's still how I think about things. I don't push that little button down. That's not what I do. So let's get back to this divorce. Joe Jonas, Sophie Turner, they have kids. They are all over the press. Maybe that's the right word. And they're just dealing, it seems, with emotional revenge. And maybe Sophie Turner hired a defender, an advocate. She filed an application in federal court in New York using DC attorneys. And that, if you Google it, those papers are public, claiming Joe Jonas absconded with the child or the children. Okay. So that's a messy divorce. Okay. Joe Jonas is out there. He's in the public eye. He has concerts. I'm not saying Joe Jonas is doing everything Sophie Turner wants, but I think it's very hard for Sophie Turner to convince a judge that Joe Jonas absconded somewhere with the children and is hiding out. That's a very hard position. And anyway, let's think long term. These are a young couple. They have young kids. They're going to have to co-parent for a long time. Now, they live maybe bigger lives than most people, right? But aren't there experts out there that can address a parenting plan for two people who may be living in separate continents? That's what I want to hear in the papers. We don't hear that. We hear absconded with the children. It's just a really negative way to start off a divorce. Let's contrast that. With the Gisele Bündchen and Tom Brady divorce. Now, they have big lives. They don't live maybe in the same continent all the time, but they share children. Do we hear anything about them? No. Why? Because they're thinking long term. They're putting the children first. Now, if Gisele's based on emotional revenge or Tom Brady's based on emotional revenge, maybe they would file some type of application, like Sophie Turner did. But that's what the difference is between using a defender, an advocate, and a counselor. So think about that, Holly. I hope that divorce news really just grounds it in. All right, so let's talk about positive perspective. And since my, brain is thinking about Gisele Bündchen, she just did a CBS Sunday morning special. It's called On Modeling, Divorce, and Her True Self. She said she basically been a silent actress all these years, being this model. It really doesn't represent her. And now she's finally in her early 40s coming out who she wants to be. And the CBS Sunday morning special, I'll put the link in the show notes that goes out weekly. If you want to get our weekly email blast from the podcast, just sign up at gettingdivorced.org and we'll give you that. But here's the thing. Let's just think of all the work she has done to grow, to evolve, right? And listen to the couple things she said during this really wonderful segment. First, she says she will never say anything bad about Tom. She is blessed that Tom gave her two wonderful children and that he is the father of her children. I mean, that to me is A+ level thinking, unbelievable, because the children feel that. They feel that. They feel your energy. So I am very impressed with that statement. And she says the truth. And you hear this often. And it happens all the time. People who marry young. And she says, what I wanted in my 20s maybe is different in what I want in my 40s. And in the best case scenario, she said her parents been together for over 50 years, grow together, right? Grow together. It's like that great joke or saying I heard by Susan Lucci, that soap opera actress icon, that she's been in several marriages to the same person. And that's it. Are we growing together with our changes, or are we growing apart? And she says, which sort of echoes our quote from Mr. Emerson, she says, when one door closes, maybe the door that closed to her marriage, another one opens. So that's what I want for us to think about while we are in this difficult time. We're going to have this dark time, but then there's going to be a better time. And you may be well outside your comfort zone to achieve that. But just reach for that light, for the stars. I have faith in you. I have faith in you. All of my listeners, to overcome your obstacle, if you could think creatively, maybe using a trusted advisor to make sure that your positions are based in reality and doing the work that's necessary. All right, I'm Corey Shapiro. I'm your friendly divorce coach. I'm helping you get creative and not reactive during your divorce.
Thank you for tuning in to the Getting Divorced Without Losing Your Mind podcast with divorce coach Corey Shapiro. Divorce can be a difficult and overwhelming process, but it doesn't have to be. Corey's book, Getting Divorced Without Losing Your Mind, is here to help you gain clarity, composure, and a strategic mindset. Get it now as an ebook on Amazon or an audiobook on Audible, and unlock the power of these resources to make more informed decisions and gain better understanding of the process. This podcast offers general information only. It cannot replace legal advice. If you need tailored advice, contact an attorney licensed to practice in your area.